Hello, Anne. How are you?
I'm doing well considering um, all we have is our homes and our gardens if we're lucky to have them.
We're lucky it's spring, that's for sure. Even though it's a rainy day, I donned my pink to be a little spring-like today.
Yeah, I have to get my spring summer clothes out of their chest,
There you go.
but
So,
it's
Anne,
cold. So
I wanted to talk to you because you're a grief coach and you've written extensively about it. You're a published author, and a healthcare specialist was what you did in your former life. And we were talking about an article that was on Facebook about how we're all grieving right now, and it sort of was an aha moment for me because I hadn't quite seen it from that perspective.
mm, I don't think too many people do. And this is what I've spent the vast majority of my coaching life educating people, that it's not just the death of a loved one, it's the death of a relationship if you're going through divorce. It's the death of your hopes and dreams. And right now, it's the death of our freedom. We've never, ever in our generation known what it's like to have our freedoms restricted to such a degree. We're so used to doing what we want when we want. And of course, it's those familiar things that help to create safety. And because we're no longer doing those familiar things, we're untethered because we haven't got a new routine. And that's what happens. We're in tremendous, tremendous change. And I liken it to a death of a loved one, because you will go through such immediate change right off the bat. That's why the emotions, the thoughts, you're in turmoil. And that's exactly where we are right now. There's been too much change for us to handle.
And it keeps evolving, and I think that's part of it too. It's like shifting sand. You can't quite get a footing because you don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, just when you think you've got it down, something else will jar you and shake you. So it's an interesting, scary time. But when I'm coaching a client, I help them see their grief in a different perspective. I get them to look at it through the lens of change. And it's when you can start to shift and see things from a different perspective, you can relax a little bit. How many of us have said, I don't have time, I'm too busy? Well, guess what? They're creating
Hello.
thoughts. They're out there. They've been put out there for years and years and years. Well, guess what? The universe listened. Now we've got all the time, except for our darling healthcare workers and first responders. My heart goes out to them because they're bearing the brunt of it all, from what they're dealing with, and then angry people who are scared. Um,
Yes, and even the stores that are still open, the clerks and so on, like tensions are really running high. And I keep saying, just be patient, be extra patient. Don't not I'm not saying that to the grocery store workers. I'm saying it to, just people who seem to be a little bit tense. Just now is the time when you need to practice your patience.
and instead of us being focused externally and looking at how we used to control our stress and anxiety, now we have to go to our inner world to be able to control that. And anybody who knows me, breathe. Just breathe.
I'm a big
Well,
fan.
exactly. Well, when you understand the science behind why, then breathing doesn't seem such a stupid idea, because it's all to do with the parasympathetic nerve and the unconscious breath. And if I don't want to get too much into the science of it all, but needless to say, our breath helps us tell our bodies that it's okay. It's okay to relax. Because what do we do when we're anxious? We shallow breathe. Exactly. So when we do that, that's the mode of our bodies. We're telling our bodies, danger, danger. So the body is flooding us with chemicals to run from the danger. So if we could just stop whatever it is and just breathe some nice, deep, shallow breaths. And I'm sure you're much better equipped to be able to teach people the breathing techniques. But I just do a simple mindfulness one, put my hand on my heart, because that brings your attention inwards into your heart, feet on the floor, and just allow your attention to focus on your heart. And imagine breathing from your feet all the way up and into your heart, and just allowing yourself to do that for several breaths, just coming all the way up from your feet into your heart.
I think we are shallow breathers at the best of times. So
Yeah.
this is a really good reminder.
Well, what you can do once you do that, because just in those few moments, you probably felt yourself your body was starting to relax. Then you can imagine breathing from the top of your head, meeting in your heart. You do that for a few times. And then imagine yourself breathing from your heart. And in that moment, just a minute or two of that kind of breath will snap you out of that anxiety and help you to have that calmness in your body.
Yeah, I feel more grounded just having done a few of those breaths right now.
That's right. And what happens when we're afraid or scared, we tend to dissociate. We fly out of our bodies, if you like. So doing something like that will bring us back in so that we do have all our faculties and resources to be able to continue.
That's an excellent point. What other tips would you give people? I mean, with grief, can you apply the 5 stages of dying, the denial that the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross
Yeah, I just
principles?
adore that woman. So many people discount her because people then get the wrong idea. They think it's linear. Okay, I'm in sadness. Oh, I'm now in anger. That means I'm getting better. But what I love about Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is she actually got to name those. And it was on cancer or people with terminal illnesses, that it was her observations. And when you think, I think it was in the 40s, to me it was brilliant that a woman in psychology or psychiatry, I can't even remember which discipline, but I just think that she was amazing at being able to speak her mind about these. So we all went in when we heard the news about COVID. We all went into the denial. Oh, well, it's in China. We're over here. We're fine. Then when it started to come here, there was still that little bit of denial. Then we started to get more and more information. And then it was the shock and the panic and the disbelief. Then you go into the sadness that life isn't the way it was 3 weeks ago. You have to deal with the sadness, and we'll cycle back on that in a moment. Then you can go into the anger because you're feeling powerless. And I think a lot of the anger, there's pain behind it. You're starting to feel that, but just like a wounded animal, you're going to lash out. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of upset, angry people right now as the anger. And then you kind of cycle. It's not, as I say, linear. I wish it was, but no, you'll cycle through all these. We do this anyway. If you were to spend time during the day tuning into your emotions, you probably would have every single one of those, but we just don't do that. So you've got the anger. From the anger, there's the bargaining. Well, if I stay in, then I'm isolating, then will you get rid of this disease for me? So, or other kinds of forms of bargaining.
Right.
Just like a child, if I'm going to promise to be good, can I have that treat? Then once you've done that, you'll go into acceptance. Well, that has to, we have to arrive at that. There's no point in fighting it. But when we go into the acceptance, it's like a calm. All right, I accept this is happening to me, but I can't control my external world. But what can I do to control my internal world? So if you're having a particular crappy day, which a lot of us are reporting, pull out your journal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, do you have an online store, Heather?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we have a lot of journals, and I'm always encouraging people to do that. For a long time I was doing the Artist's Way morning pages,
Mm-hmm.
and then I
That
kind of
is,
fell off the wagon.
but it got you going. And that's what I tell my clients. Get a nice journal, sit down every morning and just have a conversation. How are you feeling right now? Not how are you feeling today? How are you feeling right now in this moment? And have a conversation with yourself. And you'll be surprised.
Pardon me.
Wasn't
Yeah.
sure if I was to say Gesundheit to you, but I think it was a cough.
I don't
Talking
know what
too
it
much.
was. It wasn't COVID.
No, I'm sure we're perfectly safe. So you've got, get a wonderful journal and start having a conversation with yourself, because that's taking you out of your head and connecting you into your heart again. The brain will create all kinds of stories as to why you shouldn't be doing it, but your heart truly has something to tell you, and you'll be amazed at what can come up just by doing journaling, the ahas. Oh, I didn't
For
think of it
sure.
that way.
Yeah.
So that's one way you can start to control. You can decide, if you're an entrepreneur and you've got a home-based business, get up at the same time, get dressed, put on your makeup as if you were meeting clients. Just because, or if you are now home, you're being forced, do the same, because it's that routine that helps us feel connected and safe. So have a daily routine, plan it out for yourself. You don't have to put 10 things on your to-do list. We got to get away from that. There's no beating yourself up if you don't achieve it,
That's so
but
true.
just have some direction for the day. Get out in nature and walk.
Those are excellent suggestions. If people want to get in touch with you, is your website the best way to do that?
They certainly can. I have a new website called understandinggrief.com, or one word, or they can email me at Anne with an E at understandinggrief.com.
I'll put those links underneath the video as well. Thank you so much, Anne. You're always so calm and centered. It's obvious that you've done your work.
Thank you, Heather. It was lovely chatting with you today.
We'll
I
talk again.
appreciate it. Okay, take care.
You too.